Somewhere between the wind-kissed peaks of 𝐕𝐈𝐃 and the calm shimmer of the Adriatic lies Rab, a Croatian island like no other. A land of dense oak forests and secret coves, where golden beaches hide in the shadows of sandstone cliffs. On the Lopar Peninsula, the sand stretches soft and wide, while the northern tip stands raw and wild-shaped by the fierce Bura winds into something almost lunar. In the heart of it all, the ancient town of Rab rises like a memory. Stone towers, Romanesque churches, narrow streets echoing the past. And once a year, during Rabska Fierra, it all comes alive again: nights, music, firelight. This is an island made for wandering, for sea kayaking into the blue unknown, for hiking trails that lead to silence and moments that stay with you. Rab is not just a summer escape. It's a storybook island where nature and history dance to the same breeze. And this is where our journey begins.
Rab is a sun-kissed island resting in the northern Adriatic, right where 𝐂𝐍𝐉𝐎 ends and Dalmatia begins. It's part of the 𝐂𝐍𝐉𝐎 Island group, and with a surface area of just over 90 square kilometers, it ranks as Croatia's 9th largest island. But what it lacks in size, it more than makes up for in charm. Stretching from northwest to southeast, Rab follows the rhythm of the Dinaric Alps, like a quiet echo of the mountains out at sea. It's 21 kilometers long and just over 7 kilometers wide, tucked in close to the mainland, separated only by the narrow 𝐕𝐈𝐃 channel. In its narrowest spot, Rab and the coast are just a short 1.5 kilometer swim apart. You arrive on Rab by ferry. The sea calm beneath you, the wind brushing your face. And then, land. But not the kind you expect. It feels like landing on the moon. The first touch is raw, a stark, rugged landscape made of bare rock, scattered with a few tough, wiry plants. This place was shaped by the Bura, a fierce wind that charges down from the 𝐕𝐈𝐃 mountains, dragging salt spray in its wake. It sculpts the island, bleaches it, carves it into something wild and beautiful. Rab shares this harsh elegance with its neighbours, 𝐶𝐬 and especially 𝐵𝐻𝐃. But Rab has a secret. The other side of the island, the one tucked away from the Bura, shows a very different face. Here, small villages are nestled among rolling fields and quiet groves. It's not just a shelter from the wind. It's a fertile valley shaped by soft flysch rock, where the earth holds moisture and life takes root. In the wetter months, seasonal streams flow gently through the landscape. And springs, so many springs, bubble up from the ground, feeding this green corner of Rab. It's a true Mediterranean garden, fragrant, fertile, and full of surprises. The fertile land of Rab didn't go unnoticed. The first to settle here were the Illyrians, drawn by the gentle valleys and the sea's abundance. But their language, their way of life, has mostly faded into silence. The Romans, however, left their mark loud and clear. This was Rab's golden age, a time of prosperity, likely built on livestock, olives, and all the classic Mediterranean staples. At its heart, a town grew from ancient Illyrian roots on a small peninsula between two deep bays. Its steep southern side was protected by cliffs and later by walls, while the gentler northern shore became a natural harbour. They built walls, temples, and monuments. Emperor Augustus himself approved the construction of defensive walls and towers. Streets were laid out, homes were raised, and water flowed, thanks to a freed slave named Gaius Licinius Leon. He brought an aqueduct to the city and even built a fountain. On one small amphora from that era, a simple inscription reads, Felix Arbor, Happy Rab. When the Roman Empire fell, many cities crumbled with it, but not Rab. It adapted. It embraced Christianity and grew around a new heart, its cathedral and baptistry. The town became the seat of a powerful diocese, stretching beyond Rab to include 𝐾𝐎, Cress, and parts of the mainland. To this day, Rab's spiritual legacy lives on, most clearly in the iconic 4 bell towers that rise above the old town. A skyline that tells a story of survival, faith, and timeless beauty. Rab is a town remembered for its silence, its stone, and its towers. 4 majestic bell towers rise above the cliffs and medieval walls like timeless sentinels. Their reflections dance on the sea, creating one of the most striking coastal skylines on the Adriatic. A perfect harmony of nature and architecture, where history whispers through the sea breeze. 3 of these towers, St. John the Evangelist, St. Andrew, and the Grand Cathedral of St. Mary, were built in the 12th and 13th centuries during Rab's golden age. A time of wealth, power, and architectural ambition. The 4th tower, belonging to St. Justina's Church, was added in the 17th century, gracefully joining the skyline. Time has left its mark even on the proud towers of Rab. The Church of St. John the Evangelist, once standing tall beside its slender bell tower, has crumbled into ruins. Today, it lies open to the sky, like a silent wound carved by centuries. Yet, in its broken stones, there's a haunting beauty, a trace of mystery that pulls us back to distant days, when bells rang out across the peninsula, and life moved to the rhythm of faith and sea winds. Even in ruin, St. John's whispers the story of Rab's ancient soul. From Freedom Square, locally known as the Piazzetta, the view opens wide to the sea. In the shade of a majestic holm oak, locals chat, rest, and gaze toward the horizon. This little square has long been the social heart of the upper town, and today, one of its most charming corners. Rab grew upon the solid bones of its Roman past. 3 main streets, upper, middle, and lower, run parallel along the peninsula, connected by narrow stone stairways. The lower street was once commercial, tied to the port. Over time, it became more residential. The middle street housed noble palaces and civic buildings, the administrative core. The upper street remains spiritual and serene, lined with churches, monasteries, and the cathedral. Over the centuries, styles shifted, but Rab Old Town still breathes in the Romanesque rhythm of the medieval era. Its streets are pedestrian-only, paved with worn cobblestones polished smooth by countless footsteps. And while today they're home to galleries, cafes, and boutiques, it's easy to imagine the past. Nobles walking, monks passing, merchants calling out their trade. St. Christopher's Square, Rab's true centre, where all three main streets meet. Named after the island's patron saint, it's marked by a graceful fountain featuring Draga, the shepherdess of Rab, a legendary local figure. Life here still flows to the sound of church bells, the scent of salt on the air, and the quiet beauty of a town that never lost its soul. After its golden age, Rab slowly began to fade. Over the centuries, the city stagnated, caught in the political storms of the Adriatic. The Venetians, then rulers of the island, shut down the salt pans, cutting off an important source of income. Plague took its toll as well, leaving a trail of silence behind. Turkish conquests on the mainland brought waves of refugees to the island, but many Rabjani themselves would perish in the wars against the Ottomans. It wasn't until the 20th century that Rab found its second spring. Tourism, drawn by the call of the sea and the promise of endless sun, brought life back to the island. Bathing beneath the ancient walls and towers, in the crystal-clear waters of the Adriatic, became the ultimate summer dream. Whether swimming, strolling with an ice-cold drink in hand, or simply resting under the fragrant pines of 𝐂𝐍𝐿 Park, Rab today offers a perfect blend of history, nature, and pure relaxation. Right beside the walls of Rab Old Town lies 𝐂𝐍𝐿 Forest Park, one of the island's most beautiful green corners. The dense shade of pine trees, holm oaks, and other Mediterranean trees offers a welcome refuge during the hot summer months. A network of winding paths leads through the forest, with benches hidden among the trees, perfect for resting and enjoying views of the sea. At the foot of the park, right along the coast, stretches a seaside promenade that becomes one of the town's favourite swimming spots in summer. Peaceful cafes and shaded terraces line the promenade, places where time seems to slow down. With a cup of coffee, a cold drink, or a view of the sunset, it's easy to spend hours here without a single hurry. 𝐂𝐍𝐿 is more than just a park. It is a natural extension of the town itself, a place where Mediterranean nature and the relaxed rhythm of island life come together in the most beautiful way. To honour the spirit of old times, Rab celebrates its most cherished tradition, Rabska Fierra. Held every summer since 2002, Rabska Fierra brings the medieval city back to life. After 3 unforgettable days, the streets become a living stage. Locals and visitors alike slip into the past, dressed as nobles, knights, blacksmiths, peasants, and artisans. The rhythm of drums echoes through the stone alleys. Melodies of folk music drift from every corner. The festivities kick off with a grand procession, where islanders in traditional attire parade through the streets. A complete fishing village springs up along the shoreline. Nets drying in the sun, boats gently rocking in the harbour. The air is filled with the scent of grilled tuna and sweet fritoule fritters, with cheese and local wine shared freely. Laughter and song fill the warm summer nights. The inspiration comes from a celebration dating back to 1364, granted by King Louis the Great of Hungary, and the Feast of St. Christopher, the island's protector. On the final day, reverence and festivity intertwine. A solemn religious procession carries the sacred remains of St. Christopher through the city's heart. Then, as evening falls, the knights take the stage. With thrilling contests organised by the Association of Rab crossbowmen, just as they did centuries ago. Hitting a distant target with these powerful crossbows demands remarkable skill and precision. The festival ends in brilliance, a cascade of fireworks exploding above the towers, reflecting in the sea. As Rab closes its eyes on another summer of memory and magic. When the echoes of centuries past fade into the evening breeze, life on Rab returns to a simpler rhythm, the rhythm of summer. For locals and visitors alike, the beaches become the heart of the season. Some tucked neatly into the town's lively edges, others hidden away in untouched coves. All of them offer a paradise of sun and salt, serenaded by the endless symphony of cicadas and perfumed with the scent of wild herbs and pine. Most of Rab's coast here is rugged and rocky, shaped by the winds and waves. But scattered among the cliffs are gems. Pebble beaches where the days stretch out into an endless dance of fun and relaxation. For some, though, Rab's true magic lies in feeling the island as nature intended, free of all constraints. Rab holds a special place in history as the cradle of naturism in Croatia. Here, the connection between sea, sun, and skin feels effortless. And nowhere is this spirit more alive than on Canderola Beach. Set on the lush Frcan Peninsula, Canderola is one of the oldest official naturist beaches in the world. It is said that even British royalty once embraced its freedom, when King Edward VIII, together with Wallis Simpson, bathed nude here in the 1930s. Their boldness gave Rab an international nod, placing the island firmly on the map as a sanctuary of natural living. Even today, Canderola remains a symbol of Rab's easygoing soul, where time slows, the sun kisses bare skin, and the only dress code is the whisper of the sea breeze. Rab's coastline is known for its many faces, but it's the southern shores that are the most diverse. A maze of coves and inlets, shaped by the rising sea that flooded ancient ravines. Here, the sea feels warmer, cradled by the land and shielded from the winds. Waves lose their strength, and the water rests, calm and inviting. One such hidden gem is 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒 Bay, a deep, fjord-like cove sculpted by time and tide. The beach itself is a soft curve of sand, framed by rugged stone and the occasional glint of polished pebble. The waters are deep enough for swimming, yet sheltered enough to feel safe, like a secret haven carved into the island's heart. Beaches like 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒 have no signs, no crowds, no footprints. Only the whisper of the breeze, the hum of cicadas, and the endless shimmer of the sea. A place where nature still holds the last word. A series of deep green bays continues into the 𝐂𝐈𝐒 Peninsula, one of the most forested corners of the Adriatic. Here, the trees grow thick and close, hiding the sky. Alongside Miljet, Rab is one of Croatia's greenest islands, with over 40% of its surface covered in forest. It's no coincidence that the island's very name may come from the ancient Indo-European word 𝐴rb, meaning dark, shaded. 𝐴rb became 𝐴rbă, and over time, Rab. And it fits. In parts of the 𝐂𝐈𝐒 forest, light barely reaches the ground. This is the domain of holm oak, an evergreen tree that looks more like an olive than a typical oak. Its leaves are tougher, its form more southern, more wild. In theory, it could live for 1,000 years, if only people hadn't cut it down. But in protected areas like the Dundo Forest Reserve, you can still find old giants, tall, thick, ancient. This isn't just a forest of trees, it's a forest of layers, bushes, vines, and tangled undergrowth that give it an almost exotic character. Few people wander here. It's a protected area, left mostly to birds, insects, and other animals. A living reminder of the wilderness that once covered this island, and still holds on, quietly, in the green heart of Rab. In the whispering woods of 𝐂𝐈𝐒 echoes the tragic legend of a shepherd whose blinding desire for the free-spirited Draga met the fierce judgment of the goddess Diana. Rather than grant a forced love, the wild goddess turned the maiden into eternal stone to preserve her untamed purity forever. Even today, the moss-covered rocks and shadowy trees stand as quiet monuments to his unending sorrow, a lingering reminder that the forest never forgets. Yet, this is not where the diversity of Rab ends. Its northern edge opens like a broad hand, the Lopar Peninsula. And unlike the cliffs and forests that shape the rest of the island, this is a land of sand and silence. Lopar's soft sandstone tells a story written long before humans arrived. Between 40 and 50 million years ago, at the mouth of an ancient river, sediments settled and slowly compressed, grain by grain, into sandstone. Since then, wind and waves have been the patient sculptors, carving the land into strange forms: ridges, pyramids, funnels, columns, and gullies. Some look like ruins of forgotten cities. Others like waves frozen in stone. And some defy even the wildest imagination. The plants here live differently too. Instead of dense forest, you'll find twisted shrubs of common myrtle, their branches bent low, shaped by the fierce Bura wind and a constant dusting of sea salt. Only the toughest survive in this shifting ground between sun and sea. In places, fresh water meets the sea, adding yet another layer of life. Inland, much of Lopar remains untouched. No roads, no houses, just wilderness. A place where you can wander for days and meet only the wind, the rock, and your own thoughts. And then there's the shoreline. Lopar is home to some of the longest, most beautiful natural sandy beaches on the Adriatic. No concrete, no resorts, just dunes, sun, and shallow sea that stretches endlessly. You can walk through it for minutes, ankle deep, then knee deep, the water calm, warm, and welcoming. Bathing in the hidden coves of Lopar offers a true Robinson Crusoe experience, completely immersed in untouched nature. There is no concrete, no buildings, nor any trace of civilization here. Just you, the wilderness, and the endless sea. It's no wonder that naturists found their haven here. Some of Croatia's most iconic naturist beaches are hidden among these dunes. A place to return to nature in the truest sense, where skin meets sun and nothing stands between you and the world. Lopar isn't just the end of the island, it's a beginning of something deeper, freer, more elemental. Not all of Lopar is wild and remote. On the other side of the peninsula lies one of Rab's most famous beaches, Paradise Beach. Unlike the hidden coves and quiet naturist shores, this is a place where life gathers. An urban beach, backed by the small settlement of Lopar and a well-known camping resort, Paradise Beach lives up to its name in a very different way. This is where families come for summer holidays. A beach made for long, sunlit days, with plenty of space, warm, shallow waters, and all the comforts just a few steps away. There are playgrounds, water slides, pedal boats, beach volleyball, and cafes offering everything from ice cream to fresh seafood. The sea here is shallow and calm, safe even for the youngest swimmers. It's a beach where memories are made in the form of laughter, sunscreen, and salty hair. It's not quiet here, especially in the heart of summer, but that's part of its charm. Paradise Beach is where Rab shows its joyful, playful side. Where the island's natural beauty meets the warmth of community and the energy of summer. Where every sunset is met with the promise of another perfect beach day. Many come to Rab not just to rest, but to move. Beyond the beaches, the island offers a whole world for active travelers. With over 100 kilometers of marked hiking and cycling trails, Rab invites exploration on foot or by bike, from shaded coastal paths to rugged inland climbs. Some of these trails lead to the island's spine of stone, a high plateau known as 𝐂𝐎𝐒. 𝐂𝐒𝐒 rises gently from the south, then drops steeply into the sea to the north. Its northern slopes are windswept and bare, sculpted by the fierce Bura wind and salted by sea spray from the 𝐕𝐈𝐃 Channel. The terrain here is raw, chiseled with gullies and loose scree, a stark beauty carved by air and time. But the southern side tells a gentler story, more sheltered, with softer slopes where life could hold on. Among the rocks, you'll find karst grasslands, where hardy plants push through cracks in the stone. Thyme, savory, and wild sage. A world of subtle colour and delicate resilience. Rab's interior reveals another kind of landscape, a mosaic of agriculture shaped by generations. Long ribbons of stone crisscross the hills, following the contours of 𝐂𝐒𝐒's ridge. Further north, larger rectangular pastures appear, each one bordered by stone, adapted to the lay of the land. Within them, scattered dolac fields, sunken, sheltered plots, host everything from garden crops to olives. And here and there, hidden in the terrain, ancient rainwater pools, or 𝐓𝐷𝐹, once vital for livestock and still shimmering in the sunlight. 𝐂𝐒𝐒 is a place of contrasts, harsh and tender, wild and cultivated. It holds the bones of the island and the memory of how humans learned to live among them. For an island so small in size, Rab holds a remarkable diversity of landscapes. From barren, rocky terrain and almost desert-like scenery shaped by the fierce Bura wind, to sweeping sandstone landscapes and long, sandy beaches, and even dense, dark forests that have guarded their secrets for centuries. Then there are the ancient bell towers rising above the sea, standing as reminders of the island's rich history and the generations who left their mark here. But Rab is much more than its landscapes and monuments. It is an island of hidden coves, fragrant pine forests, dry stone walls, and trails that lead to views you'll never forget. An island where nature and people have adapted to one another for thousands of years. A place where wilderness meets tradition and silence meets the stories of the past. And perhaps that is why Rab stays with you long after the ferry disappears beyond the horizon. As an island of contrasts, beauty, and timeless Mediterranean spirit. An island you'll always want to return to.